Hey Vikings fans, Tyler here to talk to you about Pick and Shovelware and pickandshovelware.com. T-shirts, sweatshirts, all kinds of fun, different Minnesota sports clothing items and apparel options. We got a deal going with them right now where if you buy whatever you want, enter the promo code Bleeding Purple, all one word, and you will get free shipping. That is promo code Bleeding Purple, pickandshovelware.com. Make sure you go ahead and check it out. Okay, let's start the show. Purple, a podcast about the Minnesota Vikings. My name is Tyler Haig, and I am joined, not as always, because last week you weren't here, but like normal, Mr. Adam Patrick. Welcome back, good sir. How's it going?
Pretty good. I'm not in the closet anymore, so that's always good.
That's good. Upgrade. Congratulations.
Got a new roommate since the last time I talked to you.
Congratulations on that.
Luckily, he was sleeping through the Vikings game yesterday, so he didn't have to endure that pain.
Oh, God. Let's just do it, man. Let's just get right into it. The Vikings well, not killed isn't the right word, but that was never close. They needed a win. They were the opposite of a win, basically the entire game. They came within 3 points for a hot minute there, and so I want to open this up because I actually, this is just from like a, not podcast related, but person to person. What were you thinking when it was a 3-point game?
Well, I thought they had a chance, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
And I was, hoping that the Bears were going to, take their starters out because the Rams were up by so much. But at the same time, I was like, if that's what it takes for the Vikings to get in the playoffs, to beat a group of second stringers, then they don't deserve to be in the playoffs.
100%. That's exactly where I was like, oh, they might win. Well, it's not going to matter, even if they do win, because they're going to get killed next week because this is not the team. 3 weeks ago, when the offensive coordinator change happened, there was a part of me that was hopeful that they could put it together, figure it out, go on a run. That was like a path that I could see for this team. Miami happens. Oh my God, we might have a chance here. The team that we saw against Chicago yesterday.
It's the first half last week.
It was Stefanski, or not Stefanski, excuse me. It was DiFilippo. It was that offense. That was the same thing. Do you think he was the issue? I guess let's open it to a bigger. That DiFilippo was the issue all year. That's what I was gonna say. Let's open it to a bigger question. Who do you blame? There's so much talent on this team, Adam. How are they not in the playoffs? Where does most of the blame go for you? Where are you placing your blame?
You want to do like a pie chart?
I was actually going to say that the radio dude, yeah, I do a weekly thing. Yeah, the pie chart of blame. Where do you put the majority of, where's the biggest piece of the pie going, Adam?
I mean, you can blame Mike Zimmer. You can blame Rick Spielman. You can blame John DiFilippo. But ultimately, the players have to go out there and execute and make plays. This sounds cliche and everything. That's what they say every time they get interviewed or whatever. But, if you're not performing well enough, if you don't know what's going on, if you don't know where you're supposed to be on the field, or, and you miss a tackle, or you don't catch the ball when it hits your hands, or you don't get rid of the ball in time, and that's on the players. The coaches and GMs, and they can only do so much to prepare you. There is blame to be given to Rick Spielman and Mike Zimmer, but the players deserve most of the blame. It's their job to go out on the field and perform. And this season, most of them did not.
I would agree with that. it's frustrating to be a Vikings fan right now because I think you kind of nailed it. There's blame to go around to everybody. So I'm already seeing on Twitter, hearing from other.
You fire everybody, right?
Well, but everybody's got a legit point, you know. Yes, some people are like, fire everybody, get rid of everybody. But the people who are saying you got to get rid of Zimmer, this is a train wreck. You can make an argument. Like, there are things that you can point to that aren't normal that you could believe the majority of the blame should be placed on Mike Zimmer. You could frame an argument that the majority of the blame should go on Rick Spielman, and you could have some really good points on that. You could frame an argument that says Kirk Cousins should take the majority of the blame, and you would have a good argument. I think as Vikings fans, we also need to consider that this maybe was just a disaster of a season. It maybe was just everybody sucked a little bit at times this year. And
they went through a lot.
A lot, man. A lot. And I think
the fact that they got 8 wins might even be the most impressive part of their season.
That's what I'm saying. If you look at everything that they dealt with even from the beginning of the season with the offensive line situation, Sperano situation, we'll get into that a little bit later, but like there are so many things that you can look at where even 8 wins is like, wow, you know? You can spin it so many different ways. It's hard for me to put the majority of the blame on Zimmer when Zimmer is a defense guy, and the defense was pretty easily the best part of your team the majority of the season. Mm-hmm. Hard for me to blame Kirk Cousins when they have an offensive line that looks the way it does.
Yep.
Hard for me to blame Spielman when their best 2 wide receivers are a 4th-round pick and undrafted guy. And I mean, they're all doing good things. They're all doing bad things. You know, does that? Not that I'm trying to like avoid placing blame on any. You know, I'm not trying to avoid the question or like do a cop out, but you could make an argument for any of those dudes to be the lion's share.
I would like to ask those people that are calling for Zimmer's job or Spielman's job, like, who do you want instead? Like, who do you think is going to do a better job? Do you think someone would have been able to, you know, do their best to keep all these guys together with everything that they went through this year? Would they have been able to? Probably not. Like, even the Teddy season when he went down in the year, them getting 8 wins that year was impressive.
Very impressive.
They lost their quarterback like a week before the season.
And what do we remember from that season? That they started 5-0 and faltered and didn't make the playoffs. You know, it's so easy to spin it. I'm totally with you because that's where I wind up going is because you can kind of blame everybody. I start looking at, well, what is the other option? If we get rid of somebody, what is then the next option? That's a disaster to me, getting rid of Mike Zimmer. Because who do you bring in? What system do they implement? Are they going to like? You're just basically setting yourself back 4 seasons essentially.
Look at the Cardinals today. They fired their coach that they hired last year. Mm-hmm. So hiring a new head coach or hiring a new GM doesn't always fix everything.
No, definitely not. Nor does getting a new offensive coordinator. You know, like.
A lot of things have to fall into place, too, to have a good season.
Yes, I completely agree with that. And none of those things fell into place. Yes,
a lot of things did not go in the Vikings' favor.
Yes. As far as the like big picture, the entire season, do you consider it like what's your disappointment level? Like, are you at like out of 10? Are you at like a 9 disappointment? Are you because it's obvious that there's a lot of talent on the football team. They should probably be in the playoffs. A 10 out of 10 on disappointment. I'm not there.
They should be in the playoffs.
I don't disagree with you.
With the talent they have on that team, they should be in the playoffs. I think before the season even started, you know, they made some decisions they probably shouldn't have. It seemed like they were trying a little too hard to fix problems that weren't even really there. You know, when you look at the kicker situation, even the offensive coordinator, they didn't have to go with the splashy hire. They could have just done their research.
The guy sitting right in the building.
Could have kept Stefanski or put him in the role. They could have just done their research and found a guy that Zimmer would agree with and work well with. Mm-hmm. It just seems like they just tried a little too hard when they didn't really have to. They had everything pretty much set in place. Even like Brian Robinson being cut.
Mm-hmm.
People don't think about that. Terrence Newman, not being on this team. Their defense was good this year, but there were times where they looked very undisciplined out there, making stupid penalties, not being in the right places.
Mm-hmm.
If you got Terrence Newman out there or Brian Robinson, I don't think that's a problem. I don't think that stuff happens. I don't know how much they would play or how much their abilities and all that stuff, but that's got to be a big factor. I mean, that leadership out on the field, not even in the locker room, because Terrence Newman's still there, but just on the field, getting guys in the right spots and making sure, Mackenzie Alexander isn't covering the same guy that Eric Kendricks is, and someone gets wide open for a touchdown.
Definitely. That's another thing that we should maybe mention about the game that I've kind of noticed is like getting kind of glossed over is that Kendricks was out, Rhodes was out. Like that was not the defense. I mean, it's late in the season, everybody's hurt, but those are two very important pieces on your defense, and it was like we never even really paid
the Bears had a lot of people
much mind. I mean, they did, that's an excuse, but it should also be noted that two of your more important defenders were not there for that game.
Yeah.
Take it for what it's worth. But I think you nailed it with the doing the kicker thing is why. Not addressing the offensive line in the first round.
Drafting a cornerback in the first round. Why?
Yeah.
Why did we have to do that? That's just getting cute and being like, oh, we're fine. We're
going to make our defense this much better. And it's like, oh,
and Nick Easton goes and gets hurt, and then you're screwed.
And you were screwed all year. And that's, to me, not that I think that we should...
Yeah, Elfline didn't play the first couple of weeks.
Yes. Not that we should erase this season and say, well, what can you do? It's no big deal, like, whatever. But can you... We knew going into this season with that offensive line and what we were looking at, it wasn't addressed. It was an issue all offseason that we talked about. We knew that this was going to be a possibility.
Everybody else knew.
Yes.
Apparently not the people in... that thing, the Sperano thing too.
Mm-hmm.
They might have not addressed it because they, had faith that he would be able to, rally those guys together.
Yeah.
And
or he was going to be able to coach up Rashad Hill, or he was going to be able to coach up O'Neal, or he was going to be able, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think this season, I think there's so much talent on this team that as fans, it was hard for us to recognize how off the rails this season had gone. Through the majority of the year, we should have been able to recognize, like the Bills game, the Green Bay game, like there were so many red flags raised to us as fans. It was like, this is not the guys that you want. That's not this.
Even with the kicker situation, like was it looking back on it, was it the right decision to cut ties with Daniel Carlson after week 2? Because
he missed once the rest of the year.
Yeah, so maybe Rick Spielman got it right, because people keep saying like, oh, he drafted a bad kicker and stuff. Fail to look at what that kid's doing in Oakland. Obviously with a lot less pressure on his shoulders.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can't. I don't know if cutting a kid after one bad game is what you want to do.
Especially when I don't know. It's so easy to go back and second guess, but when it was happening, you had to get rid of him because the season was too important, and we should have recognized at that point that like this isn't if you have to rely on a rookie kicker to kick 5 field goals to beat a Green Bay team that you are so much better than, we should have known right then that this was not going to be a playoff team, or if they were in the playoffs, they weren't going to be able to do anything in the playoffs. Let's talk a little bit about coaches. You mentioned special teams, kicker, prefer, maybe hot seat. Are you thinking Zimmer and Spielman are in hot seat territory going into next year?
I think they would have to have a really bad season to get let go. Maybe Spielman. I think Spielman's maybe seat is a little hotter than...
He's got to be closer than Zimmer, right?
Zimmer, yeah. Zimmer's a good coach. He's a good coach. His players love him. He holds them accountable. He doesn't take any crap. He's successful. He has a track record. He's won 60% of his games. So, and people are like, "Oh, we should let him go." And I'm like, they got to the NFC Championship last year. Like, that was less than a year ago.
He's won 60% of his games with
now we
quarterbacks that were like Bridgewater, Keenum, Bradford.
Yeah, he's had like 9 different quarterbacks.
Yeah, and he still won that many games. That's good. Like
his
really
defense
good.
Was horrible at the beginning of the year. He like went back and fixed it.
Yeah,
and it was a lot better. And it kept the Vikings in games this year they probably didn't deserve to even be in.
Yes.
But yeah, Spielman, I think just the failure to successfully not even address the offensive line, just to find guys that are good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's that simple. Like Mike Remmers, he's a good a decent right tackle, and then you move him to guard, which he's never played before, and he fails miserably, and you're surprised by that.
Yeah.
That was also they kept him in there the whole year. Did he play well at all during the no?
Not really, to my knowledge. Well, and they also did the same thing Compton did, and I don't know how many good games Compton had either.
Compton was never a starter before this season, and there's a reason for that. Obviously, we saw that. So yeah, their first 6 picks in the draft have to be offensive linemen.
Or we're burning it down.
Use all their cap space to sign all pro linemen. They're always available. And some of the things too, like people would go back and be like, "Oh, Spielman, he drafted Khalil and he was a big flop." I look back at that draft and it was like they picked like number 3 or something. Mm-hmm. Anyone in that same position would have picked Matt Khalil. Yeah. So I don't put that on Spielman's shoulders or whatever. Mm-hmm. Anyone in that position would have picked him. He was the top graded offensive lineman on everybody's list.
He's a Pro Bowler in his first year. It didn't start looking bad until he started being old, or not old, but until he started being hurt and having a bad back and all these things. His knees are destroyed. Yeah, there are so many things from Spielman. There are so many you can point to. A lot of misses, at Treadwell's obvious. Khalil's obvious.
At the same time, look at the roster he's constructed for Mike Zimmer.
Yeah. Well, but you can defense. Go. I think his hits are more impressive than his misses, because Treadwell's whatever. They needed a wide receiver. He was the wide receiver that you were going to take there. But you look at players like Diggs or Danielle Hunter, or Dalvin Cook is another one. Harrison Smith, Xavier Rhodes, Kendrick. I mean, you on and on and on and on. He has done.
They signed Linval Joseph. Drafted Danielle Hunter. Yeah, you said. Kept Everson Griffin around.
It's hard for me to look at this whole situation and then look at Spielman and say you're the problem. I think it was stupid for them to think that the offensive line was something that they could go into a season and be competitive with, especially after Easton.
Yeah, I really think it's the Sperano thing just messed everything up.
I think so too. And from a I don't know. How do you can't really you can't measure team camaraderie and stuff like that, but how do you regroup and move on and get done what you're supposed to get done after something like that happens so early on in your season?
Yeah, and I've read things about how last year, the offense it was Shermer and Sperano working together to make the offense what it was. So and Sperano was part of the reason why DiFilippo came to the Vikings, because they had a relationship from the past too. So I just really think that had a huge impact, and people don't really want to admit it or whatever, and blame Cousins or blame Zimmer or blame Spielman. But I mean, you can even look back at 2001 when Corey Stringer died before the season.
Just similar results, I guess. I mean,
someone that you see almost every day, and then they're gone.
Yeah,
it's not an easy thing to deal with.
It's not. No, I completely agree with you, and I feel like it's also because you don't want to talk too much about something like that and the family and et cetera, et cetera. But from a media perspective, it wasn't really touched on very much after it happened. You know, everybody just kind of moved on and went about their business. But you're totally right. It definitely, I mean, made their lives more difficult for a long stretch of it. And then you're in the middle of the season and your offensive coordinator and et cetera, et cetera.
And Everson Griffin, you know, his incident in the season, that even if they were recovered enough or whatever from Sperano passing, then, you know, someone on their team has to miss time because, you know, he has to deal with his mental health.
Yeah, man, there's a lot going on this season, and I should speak for myself. I'm a little bit bummed that I didn't recognize earlier on. I was so blinded by optimism because they had such a good year last year, and all the pieces were coming back. I mean, we've sung this song before. It always seems to happen after they have a successful season. They go to the NFC Championship game. What happens the next year? Always garbage, Adam. It's always garbage. We should have known that this was not going to be the year.
It's expectations. I think we even talked about it before the year. Expectations, whenever they're high for this team, they never meet them.
No, never, ever, never, ever, ever. So moving on.
But if they had Case Keenum, you know, they would be in the playoffs right now.
Oh my God, dude! Honest to God, yesterday before the game was the most. It might have been the most incredible I've ever seen Vikings.
Everyone freaking out about your take that I stole and wrote about.
Oh my God, it was magical.
Because we apparently was going on. We hated the Vikings and wished that they would never have any success this year, just because we thought it was probably just easier not to make the playoffs.
It would be better for the team if they had a better draft pick and didn't win this game because they were going to get.
But that means that we're rooting against them.
Yeah, which is
to lose.
Not the case. And even then, still, people were like, "No, you can't have that. You can't have both of those opinions."
Yeah,
like,
only a couple people told me to die.
Yeah, I saw that. That was real good. Yeah, man. The more I looked at it and the more I kind of investigate the crazy people on Twitter, it feels like...
So what happened in the middle of the game yesterday?
What do you mean?
What did people start to say during the game?
Oh, yeah, that we were right. That we were totally... That we nailed it. Because we did. Because that is what happened. I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, Adam.
Toot, toot.
But toot, and recognize that this team, even if they get into the next round, they weren't going to do anything. No. I think what bothers people is when what we did there to fans on Twitter, where we stole their optimism. We gave them like a fair amount of facts that were like, I don't think this is going to work, and they're like, I can't hear that because I have to be optimistic, because that to a lot of people,
negative.
Yeah, is fandom. You're not being negative. Like, that's negative. We're not trying to hear that stuff. It's like, no, nobody's trying to hear it. But that is what it is.
Especially in Minnesota. Cannot be negative.
Nailed it. I think it's so much worse here. I felt yesterday I felt like I was going to get my Minnesota card like revoked because I was like on the interwebs saying that it might be better for them to pick 18th. By the way, Adam, Randy Moss, Harrison Smith, Randall McDaniel. That's what I'm saying.
We're rooting for a better draft pick. That's what we're rooting for.
Better situation for the team. I am rooting for the team.
That was the whole purpose behind our argument. Better draft pick. Yeah,
exactly.
That's exactly what we were thinking.
And all those names.
That was like one paragraph of the entire article I wrote, and everyone's like, "Oh, this is why.
This is garbage.
Stupid. Just for a better draft pick."
So many people just looked at the headline, didn't read it. I mean, that's
what
here on Twitter. It happens, Adam. It does.
No one ever does that.
They don't even. They just read the headline. I don't know.
Ever.
Where was I going to go with that? I can't remember. Anyways, offensive coordinator. Who do you want to be the offensive coordinator this year?
I don't know.
God, I don't know either. I
kind of think Stefanski should stay there just because he's been there. He's worked with Cousins. They're kind of familiar with each other. He knows what Zimmer wants.
Yes. Think you would have better experience with Zimmer and understand more than other people not in the building what Zimmer was looking for.
He's probably going to have his up and downs because he's never really been an offensive coordinator before. Mm-hmm. But I think bringing another person from the outside in, not knowing, what's going to happen between them and Zimmer. We know Zimmer's not the easiest person in the world to work with.
Yes.
Um,
Let me phrase it like this. What's the worst thing you can do as far as getting along with your head coach? It's bringing a really young, really offensive-minded, creative, different think. No, you need somebody old. You need like Norv Turner 2.0. And you just give him to Zimmer and say, Zimmer, tell him what you want him to do. He'll do that. It'll look a lot more like what Zimmer wants. What do I want? I want Adam Gase. I want him to run up and down the field. I want it to go crazy. You know, that's what I want. I want Sean McVay. I want something like that. But I don't think that's the best move for this team with Mike Zimmer as the head coach. Because I just don't think he sees it. I don't think he's going to understand it.
That's part of the some of the people's like reasoning behind getting rid of Zimmer too. They're like, oh, it's not a defensive league anymore. It's all about offense.
No, that's not correct.
Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's about offense. But usually within a year or two, the defenses catch up to what all the offenses are doing and are able to figure that out. You look at like RPOs, the Wildcat, Chip Kelly's offense, all that stuff.
Hot take. I guarantee Mahomes does not throw for 50 touchdowns next year.
Oh, no.
Guarantee it. Guaranteed.
One, they're going to have a tougher schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Teams are going to have a whole offseason to look at tape.
That's exactly it. That's it right there. They didn't know what they were dealing with. It's the first year. You know what happened to Cap? Not that I'm saying he's Cap.
It doesn't take away anything. Like, he's still good. He's still really good.
No, he's great. He's incredible. Honest to God, Mahomes is like the most fun I've had watching. His second year, but first as a starter. It's the most fun I've had watching a football player since like Michael Vick was in college. Do you remember what he used to do when he was in college, or like early on when he got drafted?
He beat Syracuse like 50-0.
Oh, he's unbelievable! Like I love watching him play. But there's no way he's going to throw for 50 touchdowns next year because they're like you said, they're going to get tape on him. They're going to figure it out. At one point in time, Adam, the Wildcat was just bleeping the league up.
Tony Sperano.
Didn't take him very long to figure out. I mean, it was creative and it was good and it did what it was supposed to do. But NFL defenses figure it out. Eventually, they will figure out the best way to take away what Mahomes does best. He won't be that successful.
Also, I don't think the Chiefs' offense has been the same, since Kareem Hunt was let go. And that's not surprising because Kareem Hunt's a very good player.
Very good player.
Just a dumb person.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunate decision.
But for OC, I think Stefanski should get a really good look. I saw that he's getting an interview for the Browns job, head coaching job, which I think is interesting.
What do you think the chances are that he's like, nah, I'm good, you guys. I'm going to go someplace else?
I think if he's smart, I think it would be smart for him to be an offensive coordinator first before he gets into being a head coach. Obviously, you want to get to be a head coach. But I think, being an offensive coordinator and proving yourself that you can fix something rather than go somewhere with your head spinning all over the place. And he could probably, if he wants to be a head coach after next year, he can talk to Zimmer and stuff and learn some pointers and stuff. Not that Zimmer knows what he's doing, apparently, according to everyone else out there. But yeah, so I would give him a good look. What Dirk Cutter's out there. Because he got fired from the Bucks. I thought Byron Leftwich got let go from the Cardinals today. I think that might be interesting. There's a couple guys out there too. Maybe somebody from, just a young guy. As much as people want the Vikings to have that innovative, fast-paced offense, they can still be innovative, but ground and pound. That's what Zimmer wants. Obviously, he wants his team. It's what he wants. He wants his team to be successful, but he's found a formula that works. Where if you're successful running the ball, that makes his defense even more dangerous, and it just proves it's worked for him. So why would he think any differently?
I think that a huge part of why they were so disappointing this season was that disconnect. Was Mike Zimmer wants this formula, and the offensive coordinator, or the offense itself, maybe because we don't want to just blame one, wanted it a different way. The way the team is built, you have to be able to do this. You have to be able to give your defense a rest, because if you give the opposing team a bunch of short fields, or if you keep your defense out there forever, like they were on Sunday, It doesn't matter
Yeah,
how
you go
many
three
great
and out,
players
three and out in 30 seconds.
You're going to give up points when that happens, no matter how good your defense is.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
God, this team. Adam?
Was it? Oh, there was an article that Sports Illustrated put out. I think it was in the middle of last week. They followed the Vikings throughout the whole season, so it was kind of interesting. Some of the
what?
When
intricate
was this?
Details. How did I miss this?
It was last week. You have to look for it or whatever.
Dude.
But it kind of revealed that Zimmer was starting to have a problem with DiFilippo around week 3.
Wow.
When they lost to Buffalo. So it was going on. It was going on and building up for a long time, and then so it wasn't just like they came out of the bye and they were flat. No, it was building for a while.
Yeah.
So.
Oh man, it just doesn't make any sense because when you have that much talent on offense, you would think it would not be all that difficult to move the ball.
Oh, you look at the Falcons. They got a ton of talent on offense, and they didn't have the right guy calling the plays. And what did they do? They let him go today. So. All right, let's talk about Kirk Cousins.
Do you think Kirk Cousins was the right move? Now that we're here, now that we've seen what we've seen,
see the right guy going forward? He's going to be there for 2 years. They're not going to cut him and pay him $30 million to not be on the team.
Yeah, that ain't happening. Do you think they trade him? Trade him, first round pick. Jaguars are looking.
I heard someone be like, I heard an awful take. What was it on some reaction show yesterday where someone was like, should we just go ahead and trade for Blake Bortles and save like $8 million? Trade Kirk Cousins for Blake Bortles, and I was like, do you know what you just said?
Mm-hmm. That's also the most frustrating part.
This is the time of year too where like everyone who hasn't been watching the team all year comes out. It's the holidays, so they don't
Here's
really have
what they need.
Yeah, like it's all like all the New Year's resolution people. Like this month is like when they go to the gym.
You're so right.
Yeah.
This New Year's I'm actually doing some New Year's resolutions. So I kind of am not real happy about the comment about New Year's resolutioners because I now consider myself one of them. So I'd like you to take that.
That's fine. I mean the people that go to the gym.
No, you're
they
totally
go for
right.
a month
and then are done
like,
with it.
Then they're done.
Yeah. No, I totally get what you're saying. Yeah, man, it's really frustrating, and I think that was also part of why Vikings Twitter was so irritating Sunday morning was because there are a lot of people out there who are like, "This is why they are in this position," and it's like, "Whoa, bud, you like haven't."
A lot of people that just created a Twitter account on Saturday.
Yeah, I don't think that you know what you're talking about. Yeah, man. Also, blind fandom. I'm over it. I can't do it anymore. It's cool to be a fan of the Vikings. I am also a fan of the Vikings, but don't look at the team and think that that they're infallible, that they don't do anything wrong, because it's crazy talk. It's crazy. Stop it.
That's why I feel like some people like me, because I'm not a homer. I'm not afraid to, put the team on the chopping block or whatever.
Yeah,
and
you got to sometimes. I think that's part of what makes. Oh yes, I'm so glad I remembered to do this. We should stop for a second and be happy with the people that we have, yourself included, writing about this football team, because the vast majority of them are pretty goddamn good at it and look at it from an objective perspective and are not total homers and are not just stirring stuff up just to stir stuff up. So we should thank everybody.
Most of us
who do that.
Yeah,
and we do have a very good group. We do have a very good group, and I like it a lot. So I just wanted to say that real quick. But yeah, I think there are a lot of things that we need to be skewering right now, because this was a huge disappointment.
They didn't make the playoffs.
I'm not a 10 out of 10 on the disappointment scale like you. But to look at this roster,
I just look at the goal, like even just not getting in the playoffs. That's the goal for every season. So if you don't make the playoffs, that's a failure.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why it's a 10, really.
That being said, as we were going into the game, very happy about the 18th pick. I would take that going forward. Getting a lot of hate saying that
Too soon.
18 can't get any good players at 18. Yeah. Totally incorrect.
Oh, yeah, you brought that up before.
All pros, tons. Needed to bring that up real quick. Going forward with this team, obviously the offensive line is
Did we even finish about Kirk Cousins?
But no, Kirk Cousins, get him out of here, man. I'm done with him. So if you had to do it again, would you do it again with Kirk Cousins? Would you sign
Yeah.
him, or would you use that money elsewhere?
Was
That was where I went off the rails. Was that's the Case Keenum argument? Is we give this money to Case Keenum, and then we apply that $8 million to 7 new offensive linemen who are all going to be all pros. It doesn't make any sense. It's not how it works.
I saw somebody said yesterday they could have got better defensive backs too, like they weren't the number 1 pass defense last year.
They did though. For everybody complaining about I can't believe they took another corner in the draft. Like they ran out of defensive backs yesterday. That was not good.
Holden Hill.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, I would definitely make the same move. I would sign Kirk Cousins. I don't think it's that bad.
No.
Do you? How much?
I mean, you look at the options they had. Where it was
exactly
Case Keenum, who had we'll just call it a fluke season. He was never successful before last year. Mm-hmm. And with Pat Shurmur, who left, so obviously the Vikings were like, okay, so we're going to bank on this guy being good under somebody new. And then you had Teddy Bridgewater, whose leg fell off almost.
You can't make Teddy a starter. I don't think anybody.
Yeah, the risk, as much as you would like to see that story, and that's a huge risk when you're trying to go to the Super Bowl. Sam Bradford's not even a question. So Kirk Cousins, he's proven starter, whatever his record, winning games or whatever, wasn't that great. But you look at the circumstances he was in, the teams he was in, the Redskins probably wouldn't have won as many games as Kirk Cousins. I also like the notion that now everyone's like, oh, well, that's why the Redskins didn't want him. And I'm like, oh, really? Because they didn't franchise him 2 years in a row. Because, they didn't want him.
He told them that he wasn't going back. That was how that situation worked. It wasn't because the Redskins didn't want him. It was because he told them. It's one of those, like, you can't fire me, I quit. Yeah. Are you concerned?
And he's what quarterbacks cost these days. So
exactly. That's the going rate. Get the money. The money argument needs to go. It just needs to go. Because that's the going rate. And in 2 years, it's going to be affordable. So,
that was the whole thing this week that was bothering me about, like, this is what Kirk Cousins is getting paid for, like these big games.
God,
and, like,
I hate that.
This is why they brought him in. I'm like, no, they didn't bring him in to put the team on his shoulders and carry them to the promised land. Brought him in to come in, execute their offense,
not turn the ball over,
make a couple throws when they need him to, and that's it.
Yeah,
not to put the whole team on his back.
And you can say that he turned the ball over too much, and that would not be you would not be wrong. That would be correct. Sure. I think Kirk Cousins can play much better than he played this season.
Oh yeah.
But if you're making the same decision, if you're in that same position, you take Kirk Cousins 1,000 times out of 1,000. 1,000 times out of 1,000.
How many teams were going after him? Like 10?
A bunch, yeah. And the only ones that weren't was because he told them to stop because he wasn't going to sign with them. It doesn't make much sense to me. How concerned are you about?
Should the Vikings sign Teddy Bridgewater though? I thought that today. He's gonna be a free agent. Should they sign him and make?
That sounds like one of your articles, my man.
I might have something in the works.
Yeah, you got one going already. Yeah. I knew you would. It's too easy, man.
Sit him on the bench. Nobody will ever be asking for Teddy to start.
God no, there won't be any chance. There won't be any Teddy chance as soon as an incompletion gets thrown by Kirk Cousins.
He played yesterday. You see any of that?
No, I was too immersed in screaming at people on Twitter to care about any.
No, he looked all right. He looked good.
I think Teddy's
a little rusty, but
I think Teddy's great. I think he'll be a very good starting quarterback in this league. But from the Vikings' perspective, it was you had no choice. You had to let him go. That's where it was.
He's not the flashiest. He's not going to make the giant plays, but he just gets the job done.
Are you concerned with Kirk Cousins' 4-26 record when
because
he needs to win?
Most of that was with the Redskins. So
I don't even win the big game, Adam. Is it his fault? Does he shrink in the biggest moments? Do you think that he goes crazy?
Look at some of the big games that they lost with Kirk Cousins this year. It was the Rams. They wouldn't have been in that game without Kirk Cousins.
True.
The Saints.
Defense.
Adam Thielen caught ball up in that game. Mm-hmm. That's not Kirk Cousins. There's a couple games. Yeah, you can blame it on him, but you can't. it's not all his fault. Like,
Well, see,
I understand.
that's exactly it. Because like you can point to like the Buffalo game. Well, he's got 2 turnovers in the red zone, short field, blah blah blah. I don't even blame Kirk Cousins for that because the offensive line and the play call were garbage. What are you doing having him have a 7-step drop and get destroyed?
If it happens once, then that's enough to try and figure something else.
The rest
out
of the game, yeah.
Yeah.
So like even that, I could make an argument that wasn't his fault. I don't know. Kirk Cousins to me doesn't seem like the problem at all. Mike Zimmer to me doesn't seem like the problem at all. Just seems like they had a really tough schedule. They had a brutal beginning of the season. It was a chaotic year, man.
And you know what? They did beat a team with a winning record this year. They beat a playoff team.
Yes,
the
they
Eagles on the road. Okay.
When they played them is not important because they're a playoff team and they beat them on the road.
Yeah.
I'm glad
Of course,
we got
because did I not say 2 weeks ago that the most Vikings thing ever would be for them to lose out in the playoffs and the Eagles take their spot? What happened?
It's just so magical. Well, here, real quick, quick prediction thing. Who do you got going to? What do you see for the rest of the playoffs? What's your prediction now that the playoff field is set, Adam? Who do you choose to win the big game?
I like the Chargers. I like the way they're playing right now.
I just can't trust them, man. I've seen too much losing in the playoffs.
Yeah, they're like the
from
AFC
them.
Vikings. They really are.
Yes,
kicking especially.
Ugh.
But I would like to see. Yeah, I would like to see Phillip Rivers get a ring. He's endured a lot out there, but it would be hilarious if the Chargers won a Super Bowl after they left San Diego.
I seriously would maybe shed a tear for San Diego. Like I'd be so sad for them.
But yeah, I like the Chargers because just the Chiefs without Kareem Hunt, I think they're a totally different team. Patriots, I mean, they're always in it, but they are not even close to being a playoff, the type of team that they were, like even last year.
Yeah.
I have no faith in the Texans. They're just there in a crappy division.
Yeah.
The Colts, I would keep an eye on. They're kind of sneaky.
They are sneaky. I really like Frank Reich.
Yeah, they could upset some people. In the NFC, the Saints, I guess they're just playing, but they have home field advantage playing in the Dome. That's incredibly hard place to win.
Totally. This is kind of a cop out, but I'm going to say the same. It's New Orleans and New England because I can't bet against either of them at home. And if they're going to be at home the whole way, I guess New England.
Chiefs have home field.
Yeah, I was going to say New England not so much. But I still, man, do you think the Chiefs can beat New England, even though it's at home? I have a tough time seeing that. That's also probably because of their years of doing it. Because you're totally right. They're not the same team. They're not nearly as good as they have been in years past.
I would even look at the Bears. Like defense and good running game gets pretty far in the playoffs.
I just don't know if they have the secondary that can like hang with those. I feel like both LA and New Orleans.
Yeah, but you don't need a good secondary when Khalil Mack's in.
That's a good point. Yeah, if your quarterback can't ever get the ball to him, it doesn't matter. That's a great point. Yeah, I mean Chicago's good, man. They're tough. That front group is crazy good, like stupid good. Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe just because I don't want them to. I don't want another team in our division to have another Super Bowl.
But then when you be like, oh, they lost to the Super Bowl champions.
Yeah, see, I don't take much in that. I don't really like that.
No,
I don't like it. What other like changes, I guess, do you want the Vikings to make going forward? I mean, obviously the offensive coordinator, but there's some players like Barr, Sendejo. I think you probably have an opinion on some of those other guys. Where are you at? Let's start with Barr. Where are you at with Barr?
He's gone. You think he doesn't even sound like he wants to stay.
No,
like
they
asked him, like, would you want to be here next year? He was like, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds.
Oh, cool. Sounds great, man. Well, and he seems like the kind of guy.
He's going to be too expensive.
Yeah, he'll take the biggest offer on the table.
If you're going to spend your money, spend it on Sheldon Richardson. I think it's a surprise if he doesn't agree to maybe like a pay cut would be Everson Griffin. Mm-hmm. They let go. I think Mike Remmers is gone. Probably Latavius Murray.
Yeah, he's going to be gone. Which is sad because I don't think he ever got a fair shake because he's a really good running back, and I just don't think they ever.
Yeah, well, he can probably be a starter somewhere else.
Yeah,
and that's probably what he wants
for sure.
Treadwell should be gone.
Yeah.
I think it's
real quick.
like $2 million to cut him. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's.
I think he's gone. Real quick on Treadwell. I heard this from one of my.
Saying he had a great season.
Yeah, oh, that's hilarious too. But no, not that. What if? Now just stick with me here. What if you do the 5th-year option? You move Treadwell to defensive back. You don't have to catch the ball. Just getting your hands on it is good enough. He's fast. He's about the same size as J-Ron Curse.
I don't think you do that in
safety. I'm just saying, tossing out the idea.
No,
$2 million. Maybe you get another defensive back. We know the coach can coach him up, Adam. We've
It's
seen
more than it's more than just his, lack of production on the field. He's just, I feel like he's not a good part of this team. Like getting hot-headed as much as Thielen does too. But
kind of seems like a turd.
That was interesting. Little interesting flare up yesterday.
We haven't even talked about it yet.
Understandable.
Given the circumstances.
The whole season's frustrating.
Whose side are you on in the Thielen-Cousins argument? I'm on Cousins' side.
Yeah.
I'm a quarterback, so I always choose quarterback side. And but that is such a
receivers are always going to say they're open. Doesn't matter how. It doesn't matter how many people are covering them. They're always going to say, "Give me the ball."
Isn't that moment such a perfect glimpse into this season where even your best player and your quarterback aren't on the same page?
I like seeing that.
Well, yeah, I like seeing the fire, but it's week 17 and you guys don't know how to run a bleeping corner route? Come on, you guys.
Well, you see stuff like that with like Tom Brady, like having shouting matches with his offensive coordinator and stuff. Like I like seeing that stuff. I'd rather have someone let it out than hold it all in all year and not say something about it, nothing get fixed. But but then after that, you saw Stephon Diggs come over and be like, come on, guys, like rally the troops and like, we still got this and all that stuff. So I think they'll be okay. It's a frustrating year.
Definitely. I don't think that relationship is
culminated
in any way.
Yesterday, there was a lot on the line, but
a lot on the line, and they pooped the bed, man. I mean, that's frustrating. That's got to be frustrating to play that game because I'm sure they went into it thinking like, here we go, let's do this, and then very quickly you figure out that, man, this ain't happening, and our season's going to be over.
Bears defense is good. Well, what happened to Thielen? Like the second half of the year, where'd he go?
I just don't think that. I think that the defense has started to take away what the Vikings were doing best, which was throw the ball to him, and they had nothing to combat that. They had no other version of the offense that they could throw at anybody.
Or they didn't really change anything to try and get Thielen the ball. I feel like they just said like, okay, just go get open.
Yeah.
Instead of like calling specific plays for him to get the ball in his hands.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and that's the thing too, is that this offense, if you kind of take the whole season as a picture, or take it big picture, they did very little of that. Like isolating guys like Diggs and Thielen. I mean, you maybe see a bubble screen every now and then, but there weren't as many. Maybe a sweep or something like that, but there weren't.
Yeah, but Dalvin Cook, what did he get, a swing pass in like the fourth quarter yesterday? I'm like, where was that, like the whole game?
The whole game, yeah, man. So it just feels like there are a lot of different things that, I don't know, it's easy to question it in hindsight because we can always be like, well, that was the wrong play. Well, that was the wrong play. It's like, well, yeah,
Did you think the game was over yesterday after the first two drives? After the Vikings, 3 and out, and then the Bears scored a touchdown?
I didn't think the game was over then, but I knew that even if they won that game and even if they came back and won it, they were going to go to Chicago the next week and get absolutely bulldozed. Because that team, the whole time I was watching that game, I was not grading it on are they going to win this game. I was grading it on can they do anything in the playoffs, and it was laughable if you looked at it that way. Like it was a terrible, terrible game to watch. Because even if they win it, they were donezo.
I mean, we all want the Vikings to make the playoffs. We all do. But like the fact that we were trying to take it from a realistic perspective and be like, hey, they're probably not going to go anywhere even if they get in the playoffs. So, why not just get a head start, on everything early, figure things out, have more time. I think that might have had something to do with some of their stuff last year, playing until February. be starting behind a bunch of people and maybe feeling a little rushed.
Yeah. I wouldn't disagree with that at all. And then you do all that, and you have a first place schedule, and you deal with the stuff that they dealt with, and the Sperano stuff, and that. Yeah, man, that's a tough road to navigate. Even if you're, it's difficult to win a bunch of games and go deep into the playoffs when you have everything going your way, and then you have that all. I mean, yeah. The thing that frustrates me is the idea that because I can't blindly root for them to win every game, or that I might have a different take on it. That
also
somehow,
didn't we predict them? Didn't me and you just predict them to win every game on this podcast?
Literally every game. Literally every game. I thought about that. Like every single game we predicted. I got a bug flying on me. Every single game we predicted that they were going to win, and that's not because I thought they were going to win every game, Adam. That's because I wanted them to win every game, my man. It's part of the fun. Is like, yes, you want to root for a team and whatever, but like, I just hate the idea. Like, don't tell me what is fan, what is not fan. You can like the Vikings and have a completely different opinion on them as I do. A lot of people but you do like completely different. Don't tell people they need to die about it. Well, like, chill out, man. Get a hold of yourself.
I showed some of those. My mother-in-law was here this weekend. I showed some of those comments to her, and she was like, "Oh, very nice."
Nope, it's not. I guess for the season in general, let's get positive. What were some of your favorite moments from this season? I was trying to think. I have a tough time thinking of
Diggs and Thielen.
Yes,
seasons they had.
Yes.
Both going over 100 catches, both going over 1,000 yards. That's the first time since Carter and Moss. That's pretty good.
Very good, I would say. Very good.
Did that have a bunch to do with DiFilippo having them throw 50 times a game?
Yes. Might have. Yeah.
But did they catch a lot of balls?
They sure did.
Gain a lot of yards? Yeah, they did.
Gained a lot of national notoriety too, Adam, I might add.
Yeah.
It's good for the brand.
We have to see, where they are on the NFL Top 100.
Mm-hmm. Oh, God. Will we talk about that on an episode in the future? It's just.
I think Diggs deserves to be on it. Has he been on it? I don't think he's been on it yet.
On the top 100?
No.
Oh, that's a crime if that is true.
Well, yeah, he's never gone over 1,000 yards until this year. So.
My favorite moment for the season is the tummy dance that Diggs does.
In the dead arm?
Dead arm dance #1. Yeah, let me get to it. Okay, we'll just skip to it. Dead arm dance #1. Okay. Easily my favorite celebration of all time. Moments I hated. The group
people
picture.
Forget that.
Get rid of it.
Did they even do that? Did the Vikings ever do that?
No, they didn't. Thank God. But I saw the Ravens were doing it again this week.
Zimmer's probably like, "Hey, you idiots! Don't do that.
Don't do that. It's horrible. It's a horrible."
He probably said something different. But.
Yeah, you're probably right. But yeah, what else was good? Dead arm dance. There was one more really good celebration. Oh, the limbo. High quality. That might be, honest to God, I love dead arm dance, but limbo was top notch.
The Vikings are pretty creative. They got some creative celebrations.
They really are. I wonder if do you think they should bring in somebody to like help choreograph? Maybe DiFilippo was part, now that I'm saying that out loud, maybe DiFilippo was a big part of those celebrations and now he's gone. I mean,
yeah, I don't think so.
I'm just saying. I don't know if I like it.
We did the best. So what's the worst?
Worst moments. For me, it's the Bills game and how it was just banging your head against the wall. Oh, the hurdle. That's a wonderful moment. Yeah. It might be the hurdle. I think that's it. That is my least favorite moment of the year. Is Josh Allen hurdling. That's Barr, wasn't it?
Josh Allen, who, everyone's like, oh, where are all the haters now? It's like, oh, he still doesn't pass for over 200 yards, even though he's a quarterback. So.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that was bad. Yeah, I think just the coming out of the bye, just super flat. That was pretty bad. The firing
Seattle game was rough.
Yeah, firing really DiFilippo. That was kind of the nail in the coffin. I feel like as much as well as they played against the Dolphins and Lions.
We were so enthusiastic after those games, and now you look at it, it's like, God.
I was happy with the performances, but I think we were both skeptical,
Yeah.
rightfully so.
Yeah, after one game it just I don't
And
know.
then yeah, just yesterday, just from the start, just super flat. Just
That
didn't seem
also
like it's like in the second half, it just didn't seem like they just seemed like they were ready to be done.
yeah, that was does that give you like concern about do you think that's a head coach issue? That's like in a very important game. And neither side of the ball seemed like they were like ready to play. Is that a
I don't know. I think this team's
What
just
are we
gone through a lot this
Yeah.
year.
I think they were done, man. I honestly think that they looked at it the way we looked at it and said,
They played
even
a
if we
lot.
beat them this week,
They
no
played a
way.
lot of football last year. And not a lot of guys were hurt.
Yeah.
This year, a lot of guys they're banged up, just ready to be done. I feel like, and sometimes that happens.
It does.
And then sometimes next year they go on and win the Super Bowl.
That's true.
Look at the Eagles. I think they didn't make the playoffs the year before they won the Super Bowl.
It's true.
And I think I was listening to something yesterday, and someone pointed out, the Vikings missed the playoffs, and the next year they won the NFC North, lost in the wild card. Then they missed the playoffs, and then the next year they won the NFC North and went to NFC Championship. They didn't make the playoffs this year, so next year probably win the NFC North.
Oh, it's going to be so good, man. I truly am very excited about next year. I think they're going to be able to address the issues that they have. And I think the group coming back is really good.
Yeah, unless these years happen over and over and over again, I'm not really like not a fan. Not a fan. Like I don't care if there's a year or two like this where they have to sit back and reflect and kind of look themselves in the mirror and figure stuff out for once instead of just letting stuff drag on.
Definitely.
Which
I'd rather have them do this and reassess than think because they're making the playoffs, nothing really needs to get changed. That's honestly, that I think is maybe the best way to maybe that's the best way to express our opinion on that article. That was totally it. I think it just might be better long term. I think they're in good shape. I think the players that they're going to lose are not the players that I know Mike Zimmer likes Barr. I think Barr is easier to replace than
they can get a linebacker in like the second round replace him easily.
Yeah, man. I think it's going to be good. They'll probably still have a bad kicker. Do you think Bailey's going to come as that? Do you think he's going to hang out here? Or, I don't even know, man. We're going to have a whole new kicker to hate again next year. New punter probably, too, because, I mean, let's be real.
No, he did good.
He did okay. He only got the job because he was a holder. We found that out. He's out. Bring Quigley back.
He only got the job because he didn't get the job because he was a holder. He was never a holder before this year.
No, that was why they gave him the job, was because Daniel Carlson liked him as a holder better than Quigley. Wasn't it Quigley who was in there? Quigley. Yeah, that was why. And then that kicker's gone, and the best punter we've ever had, just on the street, Quigley.
Mitch Berger is laughing in his.
I mean, Mitch Berger was okay. All right. Quigley.
Chris Cluey was pretty decent too.
Hey man, how many touchbacks did he have last year? He played for the Vikings.
Chris Cluey used to kick Devin Hester all the time. So.
Yeah, all the time. Just kick him the ball, even though he was the best at bringing it back for a touchdown. You know what Quigley would have done?
Out of bounds.
Angled it out.
Even if it was 20 yards.
Yeah, that's right, but he wouldn't have touched the ball, man.
Nope.
No touchbacks.
No, I think they're in good shape. I think there's a lot of positives to take away from the season, even though right now it might not look that way.
Yeah.
But there's a lot. They have a lot of talent on their roster.
For sure.
They have great defense, great receivers, 2 receivers, very good young running back.
Yes.
An above-average quarterback.
A lot to be hopeful about.
With the right offense, Kirk Cousins, he threw for 30 touchdowns this year?
Yeah, and over 4,000 yards, but not good enough. Not good enough. We brought you in here to. Yeah.
What does he have to do?
I don't know. Honestly, at this point, it's screaming. Well, you're not from here, so you might not know this, but Joe Mauer The Twins gave Joe Mauer a ton of money, and he could have been the greatest player of all time, and it wouldn't have mattered. He was still making too much money. It was never going to be enough. But unless he was Babe Ruth. And Kirk Cousins ain't going to be, he's not going to be Aaron Rodgers. He's not going to be Drew Brees. He's never going to play up to that.
You look at a lot of people who end up getting, big money contracts.
It happens all the time.
It happens a lot where just they don't capture, whatever potential that they were supposedly supposed to have. Like unless you're like LeBron James or Tom Brady, like
this just in, signing a free agent to a huge contract usually means the end of that contract sucks for you because he's old and overpriced, and that's every free agent you've ever signed to a lucrative long-term deal ever in any sport all the time.
I think I saw something yesterday where it was like the top 6 highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL didn't make the playoffs.
Fact. Yes, I also heard that.
So, I mean, there's no secret about it that drafting a rookie quarterback and trying to make a run at the playoffs has worked a lot for people.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Seahawks and the Eagles and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think that I'm not as sad as some people might be about them missing the playoffs. I think that was kind of obvious from what we were trying to get across to people yesterday.
I completely agree with you, my friend. I completely agree. And I think, like we said, long term, it's going to be better. It's going to work better for them.
I have somebody's life to worry about now, where I don't. Losses, Vikings losing.
It doesn't feel as serious anymore now that there's a human life. I'm a human to raise. Well, congratulations on that again. It's good to have you back. Although it would have been, a little bit better if they would have been going to the playoffs. But what can you do? I mean, it'll be fine. We got so much good stuff to talk about in the offseason, Adam. Draft stuff. Oh, it's going to be so great.
Yeah, maybe we'll even have some guests.
Whoa, dude. I never agreed to that.
2019. Doing big things.
2019. New year, new us. All right, buddy. I will talk to you next week.
Coming at you, Purple Podcast.
Skull Vikes.
Oh.
See you next week.